Two patrol officers respond to a call in a troubled neighborhood where screams have reportedly been heard inside a house. Assuming it's just a domestic dispute, the officers are unprepared for what awaits them. One of them ends up shooting a man who tried to attack him while keeping his hands out of sight. When they realize the man was actually unarmed, the officers understand that this will end badly for them, but they have no idea just how badly. In reality, they have interrupted some kind of ritual, and now evil itself is after them. Horror films have always gone hand in hand with social commentary. Of course, not all of them consciously try to say something about the world around us, but even the simplest slashers often reflect the fears and anxieties of their time. Today, however, a deeper layer or subtext has become almost mandatory for the genre. And Bodycam is a rare case where what lies beneath the surface is just as interesting as the surface itself. Some Western critics were quick to interpret the film as a commentary on police brutality, suggesting that those who sow the wind will reap the whirlwind. In this reading, what happens to officers Bryce and Jackson after they arrive at the scene is seen as punishment for their sins. But that's only the film's first layer. And this interpretation falls apart during the very first turning point, when Bryce shoots the homeowner. Imagine the situation yourself. You're facing someone who is clearly behaving erratically, his hands hidden under a sheet, approaching you without responding to orders to stop. And then he suddenly lunges at you, trying to shove you into a suspicious pit. If a police officer isn't allowed to shoot in that situation, then when exactly would it be justified? What the film's creators, director and writer Brandon Christensen and his brother screenwriter Ryan Christensen, are actually talking about is something much broader. They expose a systemic problem in which disadvantaged neighborhoods, plagued by poverty and drug addiction, continue to multiply, while the institutions that enter those communities do so not to help but to punish. Bryce and Jackson are not so much instruments of this system as they are its victims. They try to cover their tracks because they are convinced that if the truth comes out, they will simply be thrown to the wolves, sacrificed to public outrage that has no interest in hearing their side of the story. It's a stalemate, and the monster lurking beneath the neighborhood symbolizes decay and moral rot. It doesn't distinguish between the guilty and the innocent. The line repeated by several characters, "You have to fall in order to rise," clearly alludes to drug addiction. Seen through that lens, every character and every plot turn falls neatly into place. It's a tragedy that the system allows such monsters to grow and gain strength, because sooner or later they will inevitably crawl out of the pit where they were allowed to thrive. That said, Bodycam can also be watched without focusing on its social message, simply as a straightforward found footage horror film. The events unfold through the body cameras worn by the two officers and the dashcam in their patrol car. The story plays out almost in real time, making it fast-paced and at times genuinely frightening. There's not a great deal of novelty here, and at moments it feels like an extended segment from the horror anthology VHS, but that's largely a limitation of the style itself. Feelings of déjà vu are bound to creep in from time to time. The biggest question, however, is whether the filmmakers should have shown the underground evil at all. As long as the movie relies on suggestion in the spirit of the Blair Witch Project, it's far more effective and frightening. The Christensen brothers' reasoning is understandable. They apparently wanted to demonstrate that the evil we nurture in our basements is very real. But once the creature appears, some of the film's magic fades away, and its message loses a bit of its weight. After all, it's much easier to dismiss a poorly rendered CGI monster than the unseen horrors lurking in the dark.